Welcome to this Town of Newmarket Council meeting on Monday, September 11th, 2017. All members of council are present with the exception of Councillor Hempin. Mayor Van Bynen is presiding.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have our agenda before us. I'm not aware of any changes or amendments. We have no public notices today, no additions or corrections. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest from any members of council? Being none, then we'll go forward to our deputations. There are no presentations or recognitions at this point, but our first deputation is Debbie Fletcher-Queen with the Terry Fox Run. Debbie, if you're in the audience, if you could come forward. And we permit up to 5 minutes.
I think I'll be fine. Okay. Mr. Mayor and members of council, hello, good evening. The Newmarket Volunteer Chapter of the Terry Fox Run is again requesting that the week of September 11th through to 17th be declared Terry Fox Week, so that we may honor and promote the annual Terry Fox Run held this year on Sunday, September 17th, 2017. Terry's legacy is truly a Canadian institution, and how timely this year in our country's 150th. The strength and determination behind his iconic Marathon of Hope united us as a nation and inspired us all as individuals to do more and to give more. All of the Terry Fox runs across this great nation are volunteer-led and organized with no sponsorships. There is no promotional budget. We rely on the good nature and citizenship of so many individuals and committees. The Newmarket Volunteer Chapter has worked diligently over the years to keep Terry's Marathon of Hope at the forefront of our philanthropic town. Did I say that right?
That's good.
Mr. Mayor, please allow our town to match the magnitude of Terry's Marathon of Hope legacy by extending the celebration of Terry's incredible journey from 1 day to 7. Thank you in advance for your most precious time and attention.
Great. Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Broom?
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you very much for coming today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I had the opportunity to meet Terry, my family and I, years ago, and I spoke at your last run, if you recall. I was
Yes, I
invited
do.
by Lori, and it's something that I truly cherish, and it's a memory that often helps me persevere. And I just wanted to make sure that you understand that it is volunteer run and organized, and there is no fee for anyone to join. So if anyone is looking to join the run, it's terryfox.org/Newmarket. And once again, thank you very much for keeping Terry's message in our community and in our hearts.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we have a request for a proclamation. Do I have a motion then with respect to that, and a motion to receive the deputation?
Motion to receive the deputation and declare the proclamation.
Okay. We're using new technology, so.
Do you want me to speak into the mic?
No, if you press your button. Okay, now we've got you in the queue. All right, David, we'll do that.
And then,
Okay, now we'll put you in the queue.
okay.
There you go. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I move we receive the deputation with pleasure, and also that we declare that week Terry Fox Week, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Broom. Councillor Kerwin, we're getting back just into the routine. Did you want to speak as the mover?
Certainly not, but I think my family has participated about 30 times in this walkathon or walk or fundraiser for cancer research. Mr. Mayor, it's been a long haul, and I see Lori up there in the audience, and I know she's always out there. She's been out there for many, many, many years, and I thank all the volunteers who are present here tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Broom? Okay, great. There being no further speakers, then I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion? And we also need to vote. This is new technology tonight for those who are watching us streaming. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So
And
we have 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Can we do a photo op? And we have pins and buttons.
of course. I'll ask members of council to come into the center circle there. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So our next item then is the Vimy Ridge, the Vimy White Oak sapling presentation, and that is the Newmarket Veterans Association represented by Wes Plater. So Wes, if you'd like to come forward and explain what the project is about.
Can everybody hear me okay? Mayor Van Bynen, Deputy Mayor Taylor, members of council. My name is Wes Plater, and I come to you today in the capacity of the Public Relations Officer for the Newmarket Veterans Association. Unfortunately, not with me today is Comrade Robert Burling, who is making a very generous donation to the town in the form of 2 Vimy Ridge oak saplings. Just to give you a little bit of background, the Battle of Vimy Ridge in France, April 1917, is considered to be one of the defining events in the history of our nation. The Canadian forces overcame considerable odds and captured the ridge at a cost of some 10,600 casualties. Following the battle, Lieutenant Leslie Miller of Scarborough gathered up a handful of acorns from an English oak on the ridge. He sent the acorns home to a family to plant them. In 1919, he returned home and was given a 25-acre site on his father's farm in Scarborough. He transplanted the oaks along the border of this woodlot, and he named his farm Vimy Oaks. Today, the majestic oaks are thriving on the property. In 2014, a group of volunteers brought back the offspring of these old oaks to Vimy Ridge, where the oak trees had been planted and destroyed during World War II. These Vimy oak saplings had been planted with the Vimy Foundation Centennial Park, adjacent to the Canadian National Vimy War Memorial. The group, called the Vimy Oaks Legacy Corporation, has undertaken to offer Vimy oak saplings grown in Canada for sale to qualifying organizations so that they can be planted at commemorative sites throughout Canada to honor our soldiers at Vimy Ridge and other battles during World War I. Mr. Robert Burling, member of the Newmarket Veterans Association, was successful in purchasing 2 of these Vimy oak saplings, which he would like to donate to the town, so that the town of Newmarket can be planted and commemorate the Battle of Vimy Ridge on the 100th anniversary of this conflict. The trees will be a living memorial to the 84 men in Newmarket who died during World War I, 15 of whose names are inscribed on the Canadian National Vimy Memorial in France. We will remember them. So although Mr. Burling is not here with me today, negotiations have been underway to deliver the saplings to the town, and we've been in conversation with Mr. Bond to arrange for a ceremony of some sort to plant them. So we just asked that the town could work on a suitable location, and perhaps we can tie it in this year with our Remembrance Day ceremony, November 11th. Okay, that's all I have for you today, so thanks very much for your attention, and if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best.
Thank you, Wes. Any questions from members of council? Being none, Councillor Quapis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank you for this presentation. We are very fortunate to have these samplings donated to Newmarket, and I think we'd be more than happy to make sure that we accommodate it and respect it accordingly, to have something to show our new generation as the trees grow, the history behind it and the significance behind it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll take a motion then, Councillor Quapis, to receive the deputation. Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Twinney. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, Wes. What we'll do is we'll arrange to see if we can find a location that's suitable both for the intentions of the veterans and the fit with our municipality, so we can have that conversation once the trees arrive. Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr.
Thank you, Wes. Next item is approval of minutes, council minutes of June the 26th. The minutes are before you. Are there any amendments, errors, or omissions? And if not, could I have a motion to approve? Councillor Twinney and Councillor Vague. I'll call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. Reports by regional representatives. Regional Councillor.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just quickly, briefly share with council that this week at committee at the region, there was a number of expropriations that were approved through committee to go through council yet, but they were not only for some further needs along the Viva route, but they've started the expropriations. They're usually narrow strips of land for the widening of the road on Yonge Street north of Davis. So Davis, essentially Davis to Green Lane. And that will be a part of the considerable reconstruction of that portion of roadway. It'll bring it to a Viva-like standard without having the Viva lanes in the center. The service will be on the curb, but the road widening of 4 to 6 lanes, boulevards, off-road bike lanes, tree plantings and beautifications, et cetera. And it will look much like, in terms of appearance and feel, much like Yonge and Davis, where the Viva is completed. And that work is scheduled for 2020. And so the expropriations are underway, and it'll be exciting to see when that work comes around in 2020. I just thought I'd let everybody know that that's progressing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions to our regional councillor on regional issues? They're just getting started as well. Thank you. Next item then is the reports of committees and staff. First item then is the Committee of the Whole of Council of August the 28th. There are 2 items that I think we should deal with separately. Item number 23, which is the proclamation request for Recovery Day, and we do have a deputation here, so we'll call you forward when that item comes forward. And then the other item is item number 28, which should appropriately be referred to item number 6 on the council agenda. So are there any other items on the Committee of the Whole that members of council would wish to deal with separately? Okay. There being none then, could I have a motion, please, to adopt the recommendations of the Committee of the Whole with the exceptions of item number 23 and item number 28? Councillor Vague and Councillor Broom. All those in favor? Any opposed? None, and that is carried. Item number 23 then is a proclamation request for Recovery Day 2017. I believe that Mr. Tim Greenwood is here to make a deputation to address that proclamation request. If you could come forward, please, Mr. Greenwood, and we allow up to 5 minutes for your deputation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about Recovery Day. As I sat there, I just remembered 7 years ago today, there's a young man I worked with, his name was Nathaniel, and he died of an overdose. I worked with him for 7 years. I'm a youth employment counselor. I'd known him for 7 years, and he was kind of getting his life together. And that particular day, the day before, I was working with him on a resume, and then he went off. Apparently he went and he procured some heroin, and that night he died. And I got an email from his mother the next day that he was gone, and it was a very devastating thing, like to know him so well. And I think it really affected me. It's really affected me in terms of what I, choose to do. Like I lost him, but I've worked with many young people, and I know the cost of addiction. I'm basically a youth employment counselor, but I've worked and seen a cost of addiction in our communities, and so tonight I'm just talking about an event called Recovery Day, and just to let you know, just to give a bit of history on that. It started in 2012. It's been in the States longer than that, but in Canada it started in 2012, and it's a yearly event that takes place in September. And this year is the first year that Newmarket is part of it. There's a rally, we call it a rally, and basically it's, a lot of people probably know about AA, you talk about AA, and that's Alcoholics Anonymous. So the idea behind Recovery Day is that people are coming forward and choosing to say publicly, that they've recovered or they're in recovery. And so instead of being anonymous, coming forward and celebrating that. And as many people know, well, we have a crisis in Canada, in North America, around opioids and other addictions. It's not so bad in this region, but who knows? We see it in Toronto, how bad things are in Toronto and in Vancouver. So the whole idea of recovery is very, very important. And so the day, what's going to happen that day? We have space at Riverwalk Commons, and we're going to have speakers. We're going to have First Nations people to do an opening. We'll have a lot of testimonials, people sharing their experiences, a bit of music, that kind of thing. And really, it's just bringing people together to celebrate recovery and to get over the stigma around addiction, because that's one of the things that sometimes stops people from coming forward and seeking help. And so we're hoping that the town of Newmarket would proclaim September 22nd to be Recovery Day and join with, like I say, 32 other communities across Canada. And, just celebrate that addiction is a great problem, but there is solutions to it. There may not be so much as a cure, but solutions. And I think really the solution is community, people coming together and, sharing their stories. So that's really what it's all about. And as I said, it's happening all over. Toronto, they're actually closing off Bloor Street, a section of Bloor Street, around Christie Pitts. It's going to be quite a big event. Again, this is our first year, so we're really looking forward to having a good first year. And finally, I'd just like to say this is being sponsored by the Community Drug Strategy of York Region. I've been a part of that for 2 years now. And really what we're trying to do as a community drug strategy is trying to get people to talk to each other so we can provide good services to the community, to save lives, and to educate people about the dangers and risks. So anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to share, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? Can I have a motion to receive? Oh, Regional Councillor. Let's try.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment
Sure.
and thank you for the work you're doing and encourage you. I'm the chair of the Community Health Services Committee at York Region, and as part of that, I've had the experience of visiting several addiction centers or Steps to Recovery in Newmarket, and
Right.
also Caritas and
Yep.
several others, and sitting in circles often with some of the clients and hearing their stories is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And, you know, the one thing I can say is that from meeting so many individuals who've struggled with addictions or are struggling with addictions, is that they need to be part of the community, that it can't be hidden away or something that isn't talked about. And frankly, when they recover and when they're working through the recovery and they're doing better, they're back to contributing to society. They're back to being part of of what makes every engine tick in any community. And so, you know, we have to keep these people as part of the community, support them through their struggles, and help them come through those struggles. And so, to yourself and to everybody who does the work that you do, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Being none, then, Regional Councillor, if you could move the receipt of the deputation as well as the proclamation request that's on our agenda. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Broom. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? None, and that's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next item is item number 28, and although there are recommendations before us, we do have the same item, which is the height and density bonusing implementation guide. It's also item number 6. So rather than adopting the recommendations of the Committee of the Whole, it might be appropriate to refer this item to item number 6 of today's agenda. Could I have a motion to that effect? Regional Councillor, Councillor Vague, did you want to speak to that, or should we wait till we deal with item number 6? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? None? That is carried. So I believe that deals with all of the matters on the Committee of the Whole of August the 8th. Next item is the closed session of August the 8th. Could I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the closed session meeting of August the 28th? Councillor Kerwin, seconded by Councillor Quapis. Councillor Kerwin? Nothing to discuss. All those in favor? Any opposed? None, and that is carried. In this closed session, council received some legal advice from our associate solicitor.
You can say what it was pertaining to, can't you?
I think it was right. It was in relation to the 770 Gorham Street. That's correct. Thank you. Next item then is item number 6, which is the implementation guidelines for Section 37 of the Planning Act in the urban centers. The document is before you. I've had an opportunity to look at it, and so before I call for a motion, I'd like council to consider there are a number of items that I'd like to seek some clarity on with respect to what's being recommended, and it's 3 fundamental items, and that is who should negotiate the appropriateness of the community benefit, who should determine the geographic location, and given the extent to which we are marketing, would this document support or hamper our objectives? And I think that might involve.
Should we make a motion?
Yes, well, I can't make a motion, so so that was the reason why.
Why don't I make a motion?
You go ahead.
I'll move the recommendations just to get it on the table, and then we
Okay,
can deal with it from there, right?
okay. And the recommendation is that this report be referred to the next Committee of the Whole?
Sure.
Is that it? Okay. So that's the motion. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Curran. Regional Councillor, would you wish to speak to that? I've had a chance to discuss it,
But no, you can get back
I
to
jumped
points.
the
I
gun.
know
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
process you want to keep with, so. Yeah, I'll just quickly say that I moved a motion to refer this back to staff. I know Mr. Mayor has a number of questions and concerns that require clarification. I have 1 or 2 of my own, so I thought that would make more sense as a motion at this point, but we can certainly have the conversation, go through the items, and then see where that leads us, and I'll speak after with some other questions.
Okay. And the seconder, Councillor Kerwin?
No, I knew you had some concerns. You spoke to me about them, and I have no problem with deferring it.
Okay. And I'd like to be clear, I don't have any concerns about what we're doing, the process. It's just a matter of getting better clarity in the process so that we can avoid some challenges in the future. And that's, so I would support that motion. Are there any other questions or any other discussion items?
Did you want to go in more detail on your items? Or they come-
No, I think just those general items, those three general aspects are things that I'd like to address. And then the specific items around that language is something that maybe each member of council could have a discussion directly with the planning staff to see what the intent is and how clear it is. Regional council, go ahead.
Thanks, yeah, I'll just raise a couple of issues to be considered as staff revisits this a little bit. Again, like the mayor, I think this is a great direction we're going in getting our Section 37 implementation guidelines in place. This, for those who might be viewing, Section 37 allows us to provide some small, what they call bonuses in terms of height or density. In fact, in terms of the secondary plan, we had those laid out in the secondary plan, but the Section 37 legislation allows us to enact it in a more specific manner. This means that if we do decide to allow somebody a little more height or a little more density on a building, then we are able through the legislation, provincial legislation, to negotiate a community benefit of one nature or another. And this document lists a number of areas where you can see community benefits. Those can be anything from financial contributions to public art to affordable housing and so on, bridge work, whatever might be appropriate. So just in terms of some of the issues, I did have one question if I could. On page, I'm just trying to find it, here it is. On page 6.0, the exemptions has a piece struck out about council has the discretion on a case-by-case basis whether or not to exempt certain development applications. Is that struck out because it wasn't desired, or is it struck out because it's now number 9 on page 42? And I'm just pointing it out because if it was meant to be eliminated, it's still there as number 9. If it was just moved over there, then that obviously is consistent with.
Commissioner Nohammer?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so section 6 of the guidelines were in fact struck out because it was a duplicate of
Okay.
3.0.9.
Great, thank you.
Yes, 0.9.
Okay, also, I just wanted to, and it was alluded to by Mayor Van Bynen, but the section, page 44 at the bottom, around the public meeting, and this is the section about 7.0, determination of appropriate types of public benefits. It talks about the process to go through. We have different language in different parts of this, of the document. For example, on page 41, number 5, it says, following the statutory public meeting, planning staff and elected officials may work with the applicant. Sometimes we have, with elected officials, bracket ward councillor. Sometimes we have, consultation with the ward council and council. In fact, one time on number 3 at the top of 45, it just says planning staff and ward councillor. It doesn't mention any other. So I'm just wondering if we can strive to have some consistent language in that area. And I think that my preference certainly would be the example used on page 41, which is simply, elected officials. And I think that's, but whatever gets consideration, that's an area I just wanted to flag as well for when it comes back to us. Also, there is, since we're taking the time, there is some number of cases where we've got language about predominantly about collecting money, but then sometimes we talk about or a benefit. So if we could try to, I'll just give you the example on page 45 under 8.0, second paragraph. It states, in accordance with legislative requirements, the town will prepare an annual financial statement detailing monies collected under Section 37 bonusing and make it available to the public. Unless that can only show monies, I think it would be nice to have language consistently, whether it says monies or community benefit, or I don't know what the language is, but something that makes it clear that it could be a project or something provided by, which would include something sometimes like, rental housing is one that's listed, or affordable housing, or different items like that. And the other piece that was also alluded to by, referred to by Mayor Van Bynen was that the piece on geographic location. And I think specifically there, just maybe if we can get to, as we have conversations or meeting with staff about this document, just understanding It starts off by saying the preference is the public benefit is provided in exchange for additional heights. Planning staff shall determine for additional height or density for a development project be provided in the vicinity on the same site or neighborhood. And maybe some help understanding whether it's now or later in conversations about that idea, because Newmarket being so geographically small, and sometimes the community benefits can go to larger centralized projects. Sometimes it can be at the, on the boundaries of wards, and, you could set understanding that a little more. My personal bias is I'd rather see it left more open so that it's something that's considered as a town benefit, because most of these will be on major corridors that really, I don't think, speak directly to a ward, as opposed to something that was intrusive in the middle of the ward and you're trying to sort of, offset the intrusion or the impact to the community, but not always the case in this case. But anyway, that's a thought for discussion as we look at it. Those are just some of the issues I'm hoping we can review and clarify as we go forward.
Okay. Any other questions? So those are just items that could be I would encourage members of council to let the planning staff know if there are any other items that we would like to see some greater clarity on. In a large measure, and I'm not sure whether or not this was modeled on the City of Toronto model, and if that's the case, I think that one ward in the City of Toronto is probably bigger than the entire town of Newmarket, and so I think that the relevance there might be a little different. And since this is directed to the corridors, it's hard to imagine that any development on either Davis Drive or on Yonge Street wouldn't affect at least 2 wards, if not 4 wards, in the Davis and Yonge Street area. So again, I think the direction that's being recommended is good direction, and it's just a matter of getting some clarity on some of those items so that they're better understood, and it makes for better. Now, is one committee of the whole cycle sufficient, Mr. Sheldon? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We can take this back to our OLT discussions as part of the agenda review. Hopefully the next round or the one after that, we could bring it back with a bit of a discussion piece on the changes that would be proposed to address some of these issues.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Being none, then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Bylaws. We have bylaws number 2017-52 to 2017-54. Does anyone wish to have any of these bylaws dealt with separately? No? Okay, Madam Clerk, then, if you could read the recitals on the bylaws, please.
Bylaw 2017-52 provides amendments to the parking bylaw in relation to Mary Annville, Sundial Homes, and National Home subdivisions. Bylaw 2017-53 is a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2014-25, being a restricted area zoning bylaw related to Mary Annville developments. And bylaw 2017-54 is a bylaw to exempt certain lands from the part lot control provisions of the Planning Act, specifically related to 1209-104 Ontario Limited, lots 26, 27, and 28, Plan 65M-4523.
Can I have a motion with respect to the bylaws, please? Councillor Vague. Councillor Bizantz. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Next item is notices of motion. We do have a motion with respect to Remembrance Day that was circulated earlier. We do need a motion to waive the notice requirements of the procedure bylaw. And so if I could have that motion with a 2/3 majority is required. Can I have a motion then to waive the notice requirements? Councillor Kerwin, Regional Councillor. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Next item is a motion then, Regional Councillor.
Yeah, thanks very much. The motion would be that council formally support and endorse the Royal Canadian Legion Milton Wesley Branch 427 banner program and direct staff to install the banners at no cost to Legion in advance of Remembrance Day, and that staff be directed to draw the incurred charges from an appropriate reserve or grant program.
Great. Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Vague. Speaking to the motion, Regional Councillor.
Yeah, thanks very much. The Newmarket Legion approached me some time ago, and I apologize for bringing this directly to council, but I just didn't anticipate that they wanted to, and I probably should have, but that they wanted to start essentially selling the banners or marketing the banners to their membership and beyond fairly quickly, and so they wanted to get moving. Essentially what this is it's been done in a few other communities, including Aurora last year, maybe the year before, but last year. And it's a really great program. What it is it's the banners that we see that promote so many events on our light posts on Main Street and Water Street in Newmarket. And these banners would be installed in advance of Remembrance Day, no more than 30 days, maybe 3 weeks. And each banner would have some graphics of remembrance, but it would also have a photo of an individual veteran. And that banner would be sponsored by a family of a veteran, or perhaps a Legion member, or just a community member. And so these would have individual veterans on each banner going on Main Street and Water Street, which of course is where our Remembrance Day parade is as well. But it's really a great way. The Legion and the Veterans Association, of course, as well, is always looking for ways to try to raise profile and awareness about Remembrance Day, and trying to encourage as many people to participate. And having this, instead of the one day and a notice of it, having this visual, impactful visual symbol for weeks beforehand, I think will be a really big help. They're very attractive banners. It's probably about 35 locations is what they're looking at. I've confirmed with staff that the cost for those 35 locations for installation, the installation charge is usually about $750. And the banners themselves and the design and the printing of the banners themselves are covered through the charge that they charge to people who want to honor family members or veterans. So it was my feeling that this is, unlike a lot of other not-for-profit groups or festivals or et cetera, that use our poles for banners, this is really unique. I mean, Remembrance Day is it really as much a town day and town event as it is a Legion or a Veterans Association event. This is something we have always participated and always assisted in, and I think it's a bit unique in that way. So I think it'd be great for us to formally partner, I'd say, on this extension of Remembrance Day. I think, keeping in mind this is Vimy Ridge, the 100th anniversary of Vimy Ridge, and also this year, for maybe the first time ever, due to the calendar and other reasons, the Remembrance Day will be It will be managed and put on by both the Veterans Association and the Legion together. And so it's, I think, a great year to kick it off. These banners would go up year after year, and would be just a great reminder to the community in advance that Remembrance Day is coming, and that people should take even a moment of their day to stop and remember. So hopefully this is something people can support.
Thank you. Councillor Vague is the seconder.
Yes, just a couple of quick comments. First, once again, our thanks and gratitude to the Royal Canadian Legion.
Press your button. We got
I'm
you.
on now?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, first, our thanks and gratitude to Royal Canadian Legion, Milton Wesley Brands for bringing this forward, this wonderful program. And also just want to acknowledge Regional Councillor John Taylor. I know you've been working on this throughout the summer, so it may seem that we're doing this rather quickly and abruptly, but there was a lot of prep work to be done to try to get this prepared for November 11th. Also in Ward 1 in Copper Hills, we have most of the streets named after World War I and World War II veterans. And this is something that the town, we're very careful to do, to acknowledge our veterans, to acknowledge the people that basically gave their lives to create the life that we have right now. And my understanding is that for most of the banners, if not all, but they're honoring individual veterans. Yes, so that's the case. So very happy, very pleased, very honored to be able to second this motion.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? Being none, then I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's as amended. Any opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Are there any motions? Announcements and community events. Let's start with Councillor Bezance.
Mr. Mayor, come out to the Terry Fox Run on Sunday, September 17th. Registration begins at 8:30, followed by a run start of 9 a.m. at the Ray Twinney Complex. All are welcome to collect pledges and participate in the 5-kilometer and 10-kilometer routes through the Glenway neighborhood in Ward 7. There will be a free barbecue, refreshments, and snacks. Activities include face painting, a kids' corner, random prize draw, and a DJ. Check out terryfoxrun.org for further details.
Thank you. Councillor Broom?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The town has identified an opportunity to provide park improvements at Seneca Cook Parkette starting this week, September 11th, and will take place approximately 4 to 6 weeks to complete. Enhancements include replacement of existing play equipment, engineered wood chip surfacing for accessibility needs, new concrete pad for benches, bike racks, tri-waste containers, picnic tables, new asphalt, walkways, new signage, and additional trees. The park is located and feeds the neighborhoods of Seneca Court, Denise Circle, and Clear Meadow Boulevard. While the park is receiving these improvements, please use the Clear Meadow Park School Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Quapis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got 2 items. I would like to thank everyone that came out to the Quaker Hill Community Picnic yesterday. We had almost 500 residents enjoy many activities, making an overwhelming success. I also wanted to thank everyone that helped with and contributed to the event, especially the weather sponsor, Elmer the Safety Elephant from Ontario Safety League. The Platinum level sponsorship did pay off, and we had sunshine throughout the event. The second item is I'd like to announce a committee of the whole planning session is being scheduled for Monday, September 25th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers right here at 395 Mulock Drive. An application has been made for the zoning bylaw amendment for the lands municipally known as 514 Davis Drive. The effect of this application is to permit a 5-story mixed-use commercial building and an associated multi-level parking structure to the rear. For further information, please contact Planning Department at 905-953-5321. Thank you.
Thank you. Regional Councillor?
Thanks very much. Some people might have attended the first one, but we're having a second open house, which is scheduled for the Newmarket GO Station Mobility Hub Study. This open house is going to be on Thursday, September the 28th, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Newmarket Seniors Meeting Place. There will be a presentation at 7 p.m. sharp. The study is intended to identify opportunities to improve the GO Station and surrounding area over the short to medium and even long term. Also, I just want to add that an annual event, the Bereaved Families of York Region Butterfly Release, is Saturday, September the 16th at 10 a.m. at the Ferry Lake Gazebo, where it always is. And if you want information or you'd like to participate in this event, it's bfo-yorkregion.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Twinney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Sunday, September 24th, join us for the annual Busker Fest. Experience a full day of organized pandemonium, uncontrollable laughter, and non-stop chaos at multiple locations around the town. Newmarket's Riverwalk Commons at 200 Duncan Drive, Timothy Street from 1 to 4:30 p.m. Street performers will be entertaining audiences of all ages. The admission is free, and you need to present your 150 Days of Summer button to be invited to an exclusive performance. Bring a non-perishable food item and receive a Cobb's Bread food voucher. In the case of any inclement weather, this event will be moved inside to the Community Center and Lions Hall, as well as Old Town Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerwin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Come to the Active Living and Information Fair for adults 55 years and older on Saturday, September 23rd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Newmarket Seniors Meeting Place, 474 Davis Drive. This event showcases a variety of presenters and informative seminars focusing on services and programs available for older adults. Visitors will have the opportunity to participate in active demonstrations, Pilates, yoga, and Tai Chi. And this event is really well attended, so make sure you get there early because it's packed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Vague.
Thank you. Registrations have started for fall programs at the Newmarket Public Library. The library is located at 438 Park Avenue. You can register at the Children's Service Desk at the library or call 905-953-5105. And information on the programs available can be viewed online also at newmarketpl.ca, and that stands for Newmarket Public Library. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, residents are encouraged to get involved in Newmarket's ongoing 2018 budget process by learning about our budget priorities and letting the town know how they would like to see their tax dollars invested. The theme for the 2018 budget is sustainability with a focus on the following priorities: developing our corridors and community, managing assets and maintaining service levels, and cultivating innovation and growth. Visit newmarket.ca/2018 budget for more information and to learn about the 2018 budget. You can play our budget game, Put Your Money Where It Matters, and give us your feedback. Also, if anyone has anything that they wish to discuss with me, I will be at the Mayor in the Square in the Newmarket Farmers Market on Saturday, September the 23rd at 10 a.m. until noon. And our next council meeting is on Monday, October the 2nd at 7 p.m. New business. Any items under new business? Councillor Quapis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Friday evening, on the way home from the office here, I arrived at the scene of an accident involving a cyclist, a young teenage boy, and two vehicles. The accident took place at the intersection of Lorne Avenue and Queen Street here in Ward 5. I would like to ask staff to follow up on the York Regional Police accident report and report back to council with the contributing factors of this accident. I have the incident number if need to. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items of new business? Being none, then, there is no request for a closed session. Confirmatory bylaw. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Twinney? Councillor Kerwin? All those in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Bizans, Councillor Broom. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you.